Rider Pride!
How's everybody out there in YouTube land? Hope everybody's good. Tried to make a video earlier today and never had no luck. I was out walking like I normally do with a dog, and she was minus 20, 25, snowy, and the camera just doesn't want to work at that temperature. If I tape them right away, then I can get it, but after a while camera dies out at that temperature. It's a GoPro. But I talked the whole time around and never got any tape on it. All that died. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was the rest of the free agents that are out there still coming up here. Let me see, February 5th. That's when teams can start talking to the players. I imagine they talked before, but they just don't say anything. Then the 14th, then they can sign. And there's still quite a few free agents out there, but you know, there's not a lot of them. The lists I've seen, you know, the only ones I'd take maybe 5 or 6 of them. Everybody's worried about free agency. O'Day's got to get going, but I'm not really that worried. It's just free agency, and everybody's going to be bidding. And people, I wanted them to get Sankey, and people say, well, you got to wait until he's waiting until the free agency, what offers he can get. Yeah, I understand that, but they still got to give him an offer and hope they take it before free agency, before the bidding war starts. You know, like Cameron Judge did that with Calgary. You know, Hoff never had no trouble. He's signed quite a few guys off that list already. We've gotten a few. But of the guys that are still left on that list, there, like I said, there's only 5 or 6 that I would really consider getting into some sort of a bidding war with. The main one for me is Lanier. He's your nose tackle there on defense, and everybody knows what happens when Moreno dropped off. You need a strong nose tackle, and he got hurt last season, and I'm not really sure. They said it was a concussion, but I have my doubts. There was something else going on there. But when he came back, he looked really fit, and he was a guy to deal with when he was in there. And you need that, and then your corner, your tackles can get in there, and he pushes the center back and pushes the quarterback right into the sacks. And plus he stops the run. That's my guy that I really want to see is Lanier signed, whatever it takes. Sankey is the other one. He was our leading tackler, and I'd really like to see him. And if we can't sign him, we've got to get Pete Robertson if we could. But Sankey and Pete and those guys, they're up against some stiff competition. You know, there's Thurman out of Calgary. You know, he's a decent linebacker. Plus there's McManus out of Toronto. He's a free agent, and he's a decent linebacker too. So he's got a little bit of competition there. As far as our receivers, there's none that I'm really too worried about. The guys that are on that list, my favorite guy is that Gittins out of Toronto. He's a Canadian, and everybody knows I love my Canadian players, and you need those Canadians on your team. And he was right up there, you know, like that Eugene Lewis. Everybody's talking about Eugene Lewis, but he only had 1,300 yards. Well, only, that's good. 1,300 yards plus 396 yak yards. Yak is yards after the catch. But that Gittins, he had 1,100 yards pass receiving, plus they had 483 yards, yak yards. The only other guy that interests me on that list too is Dembski out of Winnipeg. You know, wasn't too sad that we lost him from the Riders when he went, because when he was here, they would throw a pass out to him, and he would dance around, go this way, and then by the time he made a move, he got tackled. Well, they seem to have straightened that out in Winnipeg, coached that out of him, and now he's got quite a few yak yards. Like last year, he got about 250 yak yards. His receiving was around 800. So, you know, and he's a Canadian again. You know, he can help fill in that Canadian spot. But anybody else, man, that Kenny Lawler, can't see that, you know, like he's getting up there, he's 28. Do you really want that? And his production was down to about 890 yards. So, yeah, I don't know. He was scheduled, I think, to get 300K. Who's going to pay him that now these days? But that's about it for that list. Like I said, I wouldn't sell the bank. You got to go out and find your own guys. That's what I'm most worried about. Is O'Day. He's got to get his butt down to the States and get some of these camps and find some of these tackles. We need 2 good offensive tackles. And if we can get Pete back, we lost AC Leonard. I called that last season. I didn't think he'd be back this season either. His production was going down, but I wouldn't mind getting Pete Robinson back. So we need at least one more really good defensive tackle. You know, that's important. But both our offensive tackles, we've got to find somebody. You know, like there's not that much on the list. There's what's his name, Sirico or something like that out of Ottawa. He's there, and Couture. He's a Canadian. I think he's in Winnipeg. And he's young enough, 28, and that Sirico, or Darius Sirico, is 26. He's an offensive lineman, but that's about it from the lines. I don't know what they're going to do. They got to find themselves some more linemen somehow. You know, they need both tackles. Our tackles, neither one of them are going to be here. Maybe Campbell may stick around, but that's about it. But, you know, that's my biggest concern is O'Day has to get down and find some guys to come up here and play. That's the hardest part of a general manager, is to convince these United States guys to come up here and play in the CFL. Like now with your competing leagues, you know, and they're offering comparable wage, you don't have to come up here and play. So more competition. But that being said, there is a lot of players down there, and you have to have contacts like Jones, Hofnagel. Those guys just seem to be able to find the guys and come up here. Like Calgary, how many quarterbacks have they developed? You know, we got to start developing our own players. You know, get some of our own players to cheer for, and you have the Rider Nation going for guys that grew up in our system. That makes a big difference. But we'll see. Anyway, that's about it. Until we'll see here in a week's time, roughly, that they're going to be signing a lot more guys and see who ends up where. It'll be interesting, but I'm still not really too concerned about free. There's not that much out there, and they'll all work out in the wash, but who you want to pay the big bucks to? I personally think that Gittins is going to be the highest priced help. You know, like, he's a Canadian, he's only 25 years old, and, you know, with his stats, and, hey, they won the Grey Cup. What can you say, you know? Yeah, they'll probably want him back, but he'd be worth bidding on, that's for sure. Well, until next time, hey, I have this Mondello beer. I read one time that this is one of the highest selling beers, and I decided to try one, and it's anybody that hasn't tried these, they're a pretty damn good beer. Well, anyway, until next time, go Riders, go, and I hope you all stay healthy and safe.